share with you and tell you that I haven't been to a lot of meetings lately where people have come up to me and hugged me. So, that's a welcome change. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, and I'm available to come back anytime. I like that. And I also want to preface what I'm going to say by saying that in Danville, the service that you provide, whether you're a realtor or in the title business, a lender, or any of the services that I see represented here in this room, are a vital part of what our local economy is. So we appreciate that and want to do what we can to facilitate the work that you do in our community, because it's so important and it supports so many other segments of our business community as well. Very quickly, by way of background, I've been with the town of Danville now for 27 years. Came to join the town in 1985, and I was the chief of planning, so I had the opportunity to work on things like the Sycamore Valley Specific Plan, the very first general plan that the town ever did. And since 1993, I've been doing my current job, because as Mr. Doyle will tell you, I was either in the right or the wrong place at the right time, and one thing led to another, and now I've been here, and it's been an honor and a privilege for me to serve as the town manager here in Danville. It's also been a real pleasure for me, along with my wife, to have raised our two children. We've lived here for 22 years, been through the local school system, and very, very much invested in and involved in our community. So Greg said, hey, 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to try and hit the highlights of what's going on right now with our general plan. Mary Ann's looking at me. Should be easy, right? You've sat through 12 hours of public hearings so far. I can condense all of that down into about 5 minutes, and then try to leave room for questions. So
you're okay on time.
Okay. All right. So first thing I want to say is that as Councilman Doyle alluded to, when I contact people throughout our community, or when people talk to me, oftentimes they preface their comments by telling me that they love living in Danville. What a great community this is. Keep doing what you're doing. And my response to people is always, thanks for working with us to keep it this way. It's a team effort, and we need to continue to do that. I think that as a community, we've also placed a high premium on making sure that we keep our community members involved in planning issues and planning processes that we go through, because it creates better planning outcomes when you do things that are done based on consensus and trying to do the best possible planning you can for the broadest segment of our community. And I mention these things because I think that, admittedly, I've become old school now, and in order to look at actions that are going to occur in the future, or the direction that things are moving, it's important to look at where we've come from, where we've been. And land use, planning, local control, those were fundamental, basic issues that underscored the incorporation movement back in 1982. They have always been high priorities in this community. They continue to be high priorities in this community, and nothing is going to change that. People understand that our residents live here because of what this town is, not because of what they want it to be. And if there's one thing that we hear over and over and over again, it's, we love our town, don't mess it up. So we got that. I think we got that message loud and clear. And in fact, maintaining the small town character and the uniqueness of Danville is what I describe as the overarching vision of the general plan. General plan is a process that we're going through right now for the third time since we incorporated. So we go back to 1987. We did the very first general plan. It looked out to 2005. In 1999, we did the second general plan. It looked out to 2010. Obviously, 2010 is come and gone. It's 2013. We are now working on the 2030 general plan. Some might say that we're 3 years behind, and that's because we've been working on it for the last 4 years through a series of well over 20 public meetings where we've gone through and literally drafted this plan page by page, starting with trying to update the 2010 plan. So that overarching vision is something that has always been a part of every general plan that we've ever done. And if there's one thing that I want to make sure to leave you with here today, there's a lot of information that's available. This is an ongoing process. We're going to leave information for you to pick up and take with you as you leave. But there's also a general plan website, which is www.danvillegeneralplan.com. So if you want to look at the draft of the plan, the draft of the environmental impact report, the draft of a sustainability action plan that is being prepared as part of that process, we've got frequently asked questions, presentations that have been made to the Planning Commission. You can spend a few minutes or you can spend many hours, but we would love you to have an opportunity to go to that website and to look at that information so that if you're not familiar with it, you can bring yourself up to speed on what it is that this process is. So one of the questions that I've been asked is, how does this current general plan then differ from past general plans in Danville? And I think it differs in four main areas, and I'll touch on them very briefly. First one is that in any general plan, we've got to identify how to deal with future growth in our community. Now, as I said, I think as a community, we've worked together very effectively to deal with change and growth over the years and do it in a way that is consistent with the character of the community. But as many of you, I'm sure, are aware, the state of California does play a role in this process. They do, through regular, what they refer to as housing cycles, do projections on both population and housing growth that they allocate to regions throughout the state. And here in the Bay Area, we work with an organization called the Association of Bay Area Governments to go through cycles every 7 years. And they're referred to as Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA cycles. So this is the fourth one that we've worked through since we've been an incorporated town. And essentially what it does is it requires cities to have enough land within their jurisdictions designated to be able to accommodate different types of housing. And yes, there certainly is, this process is a process that is intended to encourage variety of housing types and encourage greater affordability. I mean, that's part of the reason that they do it. Bear in mind that in Danville, over 90% of the homes that we have in Danville are considered to be single-family residential. It's been that way going back over 20 years, and it'll be that way going forward 20 years because we are primarily a residential, single-family residential, rural residential community. And there's nothing that we're planning now that is going to change that. So we go through these housing cycles every 7 years. What happens in Danville, what's built in Danville, is a function of our local economy, our local market. It's market-driven. It's based on land values. It's based on what property owners want to do with their property. And so when we see change happen, it happens incrementally over time.